And what I want as mayor of this incredible and great city is that working people can walk in and see prices that they can afford.
He was a part-time rapper. His mother is a film director. He had a TikTok campaign, but he's never had a serious job.
With Election Day approaching, New Yorkers are bracing for a political overhaul. But is the glow around Zohran Mamdani fading fast? President Trump weighing in, posting on True Social, the more people learn about Mamdani, the less they like him. And Andrew Cuomo agrees.
I believe New Yorkers are starting to focus on the race. They're starting to learn who Zohran really is and what he has said and what he stands for and what the Democratic Socialist agenda is all about.
Now resurfaced videos of Mamdani's own parents are causing outrage. The New York Post reports Mamdani's campaign is still receiving overseas donations. So is New York City about to deliver a socialist mayor or a big election surprise? Welcome to the Big Money Show. I'm Brian Brenberg, along with my co-host Jonathan Hoenig, Lydia Hu, Jackie DeAngelis, and with us for the hour, Endeavor PAC founder Tiffany Smiley. Welcome to you. And we've got a special guest here to weigh in, New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. Welcome to the show. Good to have you here. All right, so let's jump right into this. This is the question. Is the NYC mayor's race a foregone conclusion, or is the tide turning? How do you read it as somebody on the ground, politician in the state? What do you make of it?
Well, certainly before Election Day, it's never a foregone conclusion, and it's very important that people get out to vote, and candidates are working very hard. If you look at the primary, there was low turnout, and Mamdani was able to energize voters that traditionally don't come out in a primary, but now you're seeing ballooning of the numbers coming out this mayoral race. So I know both Sliwa, Cuomo, and Mamdani are working hard, but a Mamdani mayoral leadership is catastrophic for the city of New York. You're going to see a brain drain. You're already seeing people leaving the state of New York. This is a candidate who wants to defund the police, abolish private property, who is pro-Hamas and has allied himself with unindicted co-conspirators of terrorist attacks that killed New Yorkers. So it's really unthinkable as a New Yorker that we could be on the precipice of a pro-Hamas, anti-Semite, defund the police mayor. And Kathy Hochul endorsed him. She bent the knee, and his supporters heckled her. They are going to be unforgiving.
And as we head into the home stretch, Election Day is next Tuesday. The polls are showing a little bit of a narrowing here. 10 points between Mamdani and Cuomo, 4-point margin of error. So to your point, very important for people to vote. This race is far from over. But you talked a little bit about some of the policies that he stands for. Tell me what you think is at stake, not just for the city and New York State, but the country, as we consider the idea of a socialist potentially running the financial capital of the country and arguably the world.
It is the financial capital of the world. It is the center of capitalism. It epitomizes the American dream. And it's not just the rest of the country that's watching. It's the entire world that is watching this race. If New York falls to a socialist, I believe a communist mayor, that bodes very poorly for the state of New York. But also the Democrat Party is losing, and they are embracing this far left, very out of touch with hardworking Americans. And I'll tell you who is the most nervous about this is Kathy Hochul, because she chose to endorse him. She owns all his positions. There's not a single position where she has said she disagreed. So I'm hearing from New Yorkers, Republicans, Democrats, and independents who are very upset with our failed governor in terms of embracing Mamdani and standing on stage gripping his hand.
It's been interesting to see, Congresswoman, the endorsements coming in. It's been Kathy Hochul and recently Hakeem Jeffries as well, the House Minority Leader. With respect to Governor Kathy Hochul, do you think that endorsement is one of a number of reasons why she might be vulnerable in her own office? And I wonder if you can talk to us about maybe your own plans for pursuing that office, if you would.
That endorsement goes to show what everyone knows, is that Kathy Hochul has abysmal polling numbers, including with registered Democrats in the state of New York. So the reason why she endorsed was she was trying to coalesce Democrat voters because she was having real issues. No matter where you poll in the state of New York, they're seeing the same numbers that we are. People in New York are suffering. We're suffering from an affordability crisis. Mamdani talked a lot about that, but what he didn't mention is that it's single-party Democrat rule, both in the New York City Council but in the state of New York. York, where Democrats' tax and spend policies have caused this affordability crisis. You also have Kathy Hochul, who's turned her back on law enforcement to embrace this defund the police candidate who fully supports failed bail reform and wants to go a step further. That is, New Yorkers don't want that. Whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, we strongly support our law enforcement officers and we want safety and security on our streets. But the thing about Kathy Hochul is, as we saw when she was at that rally, they heckled her. It's never going to be good enough, and within 24 hours, she changed her position and is open to raising taxes.
Congressman, we've had a few folks sitting in that very chair that you're sitting in saying, look, Mamdani's going to win the race, but Elise Stefanik's going to win the governor's mansion, and that's going to save New York City. Is that something you're ready to do? And is that a wise strategy for Republicans to pursue in this state?
Well, I've been honored and energized by the amount of support and outpouring from all across the state. I've served in Congress for 6 years. I've delivered results. I flipped my district from Democrat to Republican. We win independents and we win 20% of Democrats consistently. I will outwork Kathy Hochul if and when we decide to do this. And people want to save New York. This is beyond party affiliation at this point. This is a state that's in decay. We lead the nation in the exit of people, a mass exodus because of our high taxes. We lead the nation in the highest taxes, and we're the bottom of the country when it comes to being able to run a small business, being able to raise a family. Kathy Hochul owns that. She's also an accidental governor. The only reason she is governor is because Cuomo stepped down, and she was elevated because she was a lieutenant governor. This is not someone who has earned this in terms of running in a Democrat primary, and her own lieutenant governor is primarying her.
What does that say? Tiffany, you know, you're a country away from New York, okay? We talk about this race a lot, and some people say, why do you talk about New York City mayoral races so much? This isn't for the rest of the country. But I suspect if you're outside of New York, you're looking at this race and you're saying, there might be something here for my own state or the city that I'm nearest to if he wins.
Yeah, I mean, for the whole country, like Congresswoman Stefanik was saying, it has implications around the world. And New York is very special to me. My second son was actually born here, just up the Hudson Valley. We have a lot of special memories here in New York City, so it breaks my heart to see what is happening. But like we were talking in the green room, I do have hope that we will see Governor Stefanik, because if Mamdani wins in New York City, I do believe it sets it up for something better for New York. And New York deserves it. When I look at this race, it's so obvious. If it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck, it's got to be a duck. In this case, it's a communist. And the Democrats are totally selling out and abandoning American families. And if this is the line they want to go down, if Hakeem Jeffries wants to endorse, if Kathy Hochul wants to endorse this type of candidate who's the most radical, extreme candidate, full stop, our country has ever seen, then they will lose the American people. And perhaps it will set us up for a brighter and better future with leaders like Governor Stefanik.
Communist ducks are the worst kind of ducks, too. I like ducks.
Yes.
I don't like communist ducks.
I know.
Congressman, one of the questions we talk about all the time is, where the heck did this come from? Why are we having this conversation in New York City and other places now after watching for generations as socialism failed again and again, and yet there's a lot of energy around this. Where does that come from?
So I think this is what we're seeing happening broadly in the Democrat Party. You're going to see many upstart socialists challenge more traditional Democrats. That is what played out here in the Democrat mayoral primary. These are radical socialists who want to, as I said, abolish the police. They want to abolish private property. They also believe increasing taxes. These are not, the traditional Democrats of your grandfather or your parents. It is a full-blown socialist. And I think you can draw a direct line between what's happening on our college campuses, which I've been very active on, to a Mamdani candidacy. When you saw the pro-Hamas encampments, including in New York City at Columbia, that is directly related to the anti-Americanism that we're seeing play out in this mayor's race. And I think what that's going to show is when this is the general election broadly across the country, in House races, Senate races, governor's races, the American people are going to say enough is enough. We don't want to put illegals first. We don't want to throw our law enforcement under the bus. We need common sense and results.
I'm so glad you brought up what's happening on college campuses, anti-Semitism in general, because coming just shortly after President Trump was able to broker a huge peace deal in the Middle East, you've got this candidate, socialist candidate, communist candidate, as some are calling him, and this resurfaced clip of his father, the professor, comparing Abraham Lincoln to Hitler. We've seen pictures of Mamdani himself with the imam, and we have to question what the ideology and what some of his goals are here. Some people are very scared scared of bringing that into New York City, worse than it already is right now.
They are rightfully scared, and when he says something, believe him. This is not just one clip. This is recurring clips that he has made both as a sitting assembly member and as a candidate for mayor. He has said that Israel does not have a right to exist as a Jewish state. And you have New York City, which has the largest percentage of Jewish people out of anywhere in the world except for Israel. This is deeply disturbing, and it's dangerous for the people of New York. So get out and vote. It is important to stop Mamdani. And next year, New Yorkers are going to unify and fire Kathy Hochul to save the state because she has proven incapable. She bent the knee, and she owns this catastrophe if he wins.
I want to widen the aperture a little bit and talk about what's going on the world stage, because I know you've got a lot to say about what's happening with China. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent weighing in on what happened there with the president's meeting with Xi Jinping. Take a listen to this.
The two leaders were able to discuss more bigger picture ideas during the conversation, including what the remainder of President Trump's term would look like, because I think the Chinese realize that with President Trump in office, it is an opportunity to reset the relationship in terms of mutual respect. President Trump is commanding respect around the world like no other leader.
All right, and so when I hear reset the relationship, that sounds pretty good. It sounds a little rosy to me. Are we in a position where we can really reset with China, given who Xi Jinping is, what he's been doing the last many years? How do you read this?
So I believe that China is our greatest adversary of this century. And I think a strong American president like President Trump is the best negotiator in the world. Other heads of states fear him. Look at the results he's been able to deliver. He brought home significant results for American farmers with the soybean deal with China. He was able to address the critical minerals and rare earths, which is incredibly important for our national security and our manufacturing base. And he also addressed the tariff issue and the uncertainty to make sure that we are America first in our economic policy. So I have faith, and we've seen President Trump is able to negotiate with other countries to benefit hardworking American people, families, small businesses, manufacturers. And President Trump knows we're dealing with a very tough adversary,
Indeed.
But he is the chief negotiator.
Jonathan, we got a resident kind of tariff skeptic on the panel.
Why is China being charged
10%
tariffs?
So let me throw this.
Europe is 20%.
So Jonathan, what did you think about yesterday's? Like, it may not be what you wanted, but was it moving the ball down the field in a way that you can get behind?
Well, we've talked about it, Brian, for months now. It is that uncertainty. I mean, even going back to the so-called tariff tantrum in April of this year, it is the uncertainty. So the fact that the president was able to come to some deal, I think, is a real benefit to everyday Americans, business people, big and small, especially those small business people who import a lot of items for manufacture from China. So I think truly that uncertainty has been keeping a lot of money on the sidelines now, and part of the market's recent ascendance, I think, directly has to do to some of those uncertainties about Chinese trade being cleared up.
Congresswoman, the president really, to me, has been out on the world stage. He was sort of billed as the guy who was going to alienate our friends. I feel like he's doing a lot of friendship building
Absolutely.
right now, actually. But, we have differing opinions. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. He has strengthened our alliances, and he has made our adversaries fear the United States of America with an America First, very strong commander-in-chief. And on the tariff issue, I represent upstate New York and continuation of the Rust Belt. We've seen the hollowing out of manufacturers, which used to be booming cities that are now people barely are getting by. So our trade policy was allowing China to run roughshod for decades, and it was a bipartisan failure. President Trump is addressing this and is trying to ensure that we're putting American manufacturers first. I think this was a win. I think providing that certainty is key. And I also want to point out the issue of fentanyl. The fact that the president was able to deliver results when it comes to the fentanyl flowing into our country, killing Americans, including killing constituents in my district. We need to always stand up for the American people. I've met with so many families. These stories are devastating. So this is a big win by the president.
It's one we will continue to watch. Congresswoman Elise Stefanik, it was such a pleasure to have you on today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.